This is Michael, and he makes 7 figures a year selling courses and software solely from his small YouTube channel. But what's so special? Most online gurus do this, right? Well, what makes Mike special is he doesn't make his money off of his content or ads, but he makes it off of his email marketing funnel. When it comes to email marketing, Michael is a beast. And in this video, he gives us his entire blueprint. From making lead magnets so good that your audience will feel compelled to give you their emails, to writing email scripts that convert these leads into money in the bank. He even talks about how to make super low effort content that actually converts into money. Like, his content is so low effort that even if you were super lazy, you'd still be compelled to make videos because of how easy it is. So without further ado, I'm going to let Mike break down his blueprint, starting with his email marketing funnel.
We were able to hit, $10,000 a month when within getting our first 1,000 email subscribers. And so above that, we then want to think about, well, how do we get people onto our list? Typically, we do that with lead magnets. I offer a lot of lead magnets. I have found that it's an 80-20 rule where 20% of our lead magnets are responsible for 80% of the leads we generate. I'm going to be a bit controversial and say that actually the type of lead magnet is completely irrelevant. Templates, swipe files, there's lots of different types. Something that has done particularly well for us, not from a numbers perspective. We have had lead magnets that are just a Google Doc with 21 bullet points written on them. I think what people do is they spend way too much time crafting the lead magnet and putting tons of time and effort and energy into a full course. And the reality is, if you and I were, working on a project, let's say something like this, and someone gave us 2 offers and they said, well, Ash and Mike, we can either give you a full 3-month course on how to run a perfect podcast interview, or a 10 bullet point PDF that will give you the most thought-provoking questions that will guarantee listenership. I know which one I'd rather go for, right? The one with the really quick, specific offer. So in my opinion, a lead magnet does well if someone can use it or access it or kind of get something from it within about 15 to 30 seconds. That to me is a good measure of a lead magnet. So some that have done really well for us was just a list of 49 niches. It's like funnel builders. If you want to know about 49 different niches that you could go after, download this list.
Guys, people are sick and tired of courses. We've been sold courses for so long that we're jaded. We don't even appreciate them anymore. And nowadays, if someone wants a course, they'll just go and pirate it, or they'll just consume a free course on YouTube. I'm serious. Everything from learning how to do Facebook ads, to becoming a growth operator, to learning video editing, you'll find 8-hour-long courses on all of these topics on YouTube for free. So why would someone appreciate your free course as a lead magnet? Instead of offering a free course, what you need to do is offer speed. If you can tell your audience that they will get tangible results by just spending a few minutes looking at your lead magnet, now you've got them interest. So if you're someone like me who teaches coaches and agency owners on how to make content that makes money, then a great lead magnet would be this document right here. It's 51 things that you can instantly apply into your content to make your content better. And it was written by none other than Michael himself. Like, Michael's been making content for 6 years now, and anytime he got a breakthrough, he would go to this doc and put something in there. And so these 51 tips are basically mistakes that he made over the course of 6 years. And by scrolling down and clicking the link in the description, you'll be saving yourself 6 years of work in less than 15 minutes.
Something that I do that I feel a lot of funnel builders and marketers and businesses don't do, which is extremely important, is after someone signs up to an opt-in and when they are redirected, when they say, hey, download our free PDF or whatever, you put in your information, you should be redirected immediately to a sales offer. So you should immediately be redirected to a video sales letter that pitches something to you. And then in order to get traffic to those opt-in pages, we produce YouTube content. If you look at my channel, the first video that did really well, and I knew it would do well, we were struggling to get hundreds of views, let alone thousands or hundreds of thousands. And I did a video because ClickFunnels was suing High Level on it. And I knew it would get views because it's juicy, it's drama, it's gossip, it's about legal ramifications, there's my reaction to it. And I knew it would do well. And that was just a Loom video. And all I was reading was a court document, which is extremely boring. And I was just reading through it and reacting to it. And that got like 5,000 views or something, and still gets a few views now. That was when I went, it's not about the camera or the quality of the shots or the images or the lighting or even the sound. It's to do with the idea. Is the idea really, really juicy? And so I think I basically brainstormed a bunch of very juicy, almost seem too good to be true. You could argue they're clickbait, but I don't think they are. Titles. And the reality is they give something really clear that people want, my audience wants, which is money. And it makes it seem faster or easier or simpler than what they've currently been doing. So when I say make $5,000 in 7 days, or here's how to make $100,000 in 12 months, that seems like a quick, easy solution to something that people really, really want, which kind of cap off. The reason I think these videos have done well is because the idea is very, very appealing. That's what has mattered way more than the camera shots or the quality of the footage or anything like that.
When it comes to content, the biggest part of the puzzle is coming up with these viral ideas, these ideas that are so good that it'll force your audience to click on it. And for coming up with these ideas, Michael has a really simple exercise that he does every single day.
So as a rule, I try to think of 10 new ideas a day, and so I just have a list. I use a piece of software called Obsidian, which is kind of like a note-taking app, I suppose. And so I'll try to think of 10 new ideas a day, which is tough, but what's interesting is a few things happen. First of all, I don't think people are using YouTube community posts nearly as much as they should. Community posts get shown to people who are outside of your audience. So asking a poll or telling a story or sharing something useful, that can get shown to people outside. So if I get a lot of engagement on a particular post type, I can think, oh, there's probably an idea here. I know what my audience wants. They want money. That's pretty much it. It comes down to they want money. And so I have to think of 365 different ways of helping them make money. And so I write out 10 different ideas. I tend to spend as much time researching people in completely different niches. So the outdoor space, hobby space, fitness space, cooking space. That is a really good way to get ideas that work. So looking outside the space is really important. I do spend a little bit of time researching other YouTubers inside the space, but to be honest, I haven't found much value in that recently.
Okay, so you use these strategies to come up with these really cool viral ideas. But another part of the puzzle is making really long videos. Like, look at how long Mike's videos are. How do you talk about the same topic day in and day out for 50 minutes plus? Well, what you do is you follow Mike's 3-pronged strategy.
YouTube is favoring longer videos at the moment. I think that that's what is happening, right? So that's one thing, is I was like, okay, I need to keep them interested for longer. The second thing is, it's one thing to be able to talk for 20, 30, 40 minutes. It's another thing to be able to make sure you don't repeat yourself. And that is extremely difficult. So the way that I am able to go through a topic and a subject and perhaps talk about it quite fluently for a long period of time is probably down to two things. First of all, I only ever talk about things that I have a lot of knowledge about. I couldn't talk about the Tour de France, but when you talk about conversion rates and how to come up with a killer offer, I'll have lots of anecdotes, I'll have lots of stories, I'll have lots of models, I'll have lots of experiences, I'll have some data to share, I'll have a methodology probably. So what you have to remember, and this is giving you a real peek behind the curtain, if you watch the majority of my videos, they actually all pretty much say the same thing, just packaged in a slightly different way. And this is really important to understand, and it's also important to sort of embrace. The Marvel films did really well for 10 years or 12 years or whatever it is, because they basically did the same film 20 times, right? Generally speaking, if I find a thing that people want, in this case making more money faster and easier online, I'm not going to try and think of 50 different topics, I'm going to try and think of 50 different ways to explain it. We do write out bullet points. I have a framework that I use for getting my introduction really good. The first thing that I think about is, what would be the ideal comments that I would want on this video? And so I think about, I want someone to say, oh my God, this was so useful, I can't believe you gave this away for free. Or, I've literally just closed my first client using this exact methods and it only took 45 minutes. I think about, how do I want people to engage and interact with my videos? I then work backwards from that and I think, what would be a really juicy, powerful hook-based intro, which is basically 3 or 4 paragraphs of titles. An introduction is really just a bunch of titles, one after the other. So if I say the title is make $25,000 in 45 minutes, the opening line would be, in 45 minutes I can show you how to make $25,000. And then what I'll do is I'll write out just bullet points of everything that I want to say. I just do a brain dump, and then I'll close that down and I'll leave it, and I'll come back to it a week later. And just that act, the act of stepping back from it and getting some distance and some perspective, means that when I come back to it, I can go through it quite ruthlessly and say, get rid of that, that's not enough, or I haven't explained that very well, or that needs to go somewhere else. You kind of, it's easier because you almost feel it's not your work anymore. So that's why I do that. It's actually a productivity hack. I think it gets written faster if I leave it for a week. In my experience, that's what happens, at least. So a few years ago, my brother was learning to drive, and one of his driving instructors hopped in the car with him and then said, okay, pull out and we'll go down the road. And my brother pulled out, and immediately a car smashed into him, and it basically, right, what was the information in that story and what was the emotional part of that story? You now could pretty much recite that entire story to me, almost verbatim, and yet the information was kind of sparse. I think it's just a fundamental thing in human. By the way, that story's not true. I literally made that up on the spot to make a point. I do have a brother, but to make a point, it's the stories that we tell each other that we remember, right? That's what connects with us. And so the lesson that I've learned and what I've tried to do in my videos, and this is something I'm constantly working on, this is my weakest area, is people actually remember stories more than they remember data and information. And the closest I can get to that is by writing like models, like Venn diagrams or funnel diagrams or pictures. If people can then draw that model again on a napkin, to me, I feel I've done my job. By reducing the amount of information, you can actually increase the impact that you have with people. It's not enough just to tell them the steps. They need to be able to put it into some kind of context. And I do genuinely believe that this is just a biological thing that most human beings have, where we are better at listening to, learning from, and remembering stories. The litmus test for anything that you tell someone is, if they are interested, they will be able to repeat it back to you pretty much exactly the same. With information, that's very difficult to do. With a story or with a model, it's much easier to do that. So while you're reducing the amount of core actionable data, you're giving more context, and people are more likely to want to remember it and be interested by it and engage with it. So that's what I'm certainly trying to do more of, and I think it has helped with our videos as well. Yeah.